Welcome to Caleb's Basketball Pod. Sorry about the hiatus on Wednesday. A lot going on. Never got shot to really record. But I have that figured out for next week. Like I said, stay tuned. Big things coming. We're coming up on big milestones like our 100th episode in a few weeks. And I'd love to have some more guests and maybe get big guest for that episode. But again, stay tuned. As for today, I want to touch on some of the games over the last couple of days. We've had some really good games. Let's start at a game I spoke on Monday. That was going to happen on Wednesday, where you had the number one team in the NBA versus the number two team in the NBA, the number one in the East, the Cavaliers, against the number one in the West, the Oklahoma City Thunder. That game was in Cleveland. As we speak today, on Friday, 6 days from now, we will see a rematch in Oklahoma. So very interesting to see how they match up in Oklahoma. We saw how it matched up in Cleveland. We saw a 129-122 win by the Cleveland Cavaliers, extending their win streak to, at the time, 11, which is now at 12 after a win over the Toronto Raptors last night, and breaking the 15-game win streak of the Oklahoma City Thunder. So, observations from that game. Number one defense did not slow down the number one offense. The offense from Oklahoma looked really impressive as well. Jalen Williams, in my opinion, should most definitely be an all-star this year. He came to play. He did struggle a little bit in the second half. He struggled a little bit in the zone. Before the zone, he was playing really, really good basketball, 20-some points on the night. And he'll figure out the zone, and I think he'll figure it out as he sees it more. But it's not a defense a lot of teams see at this point. It's not an excuse, but I really think he's been big. He's been huge for Oklahoma. He's been the second guy. We know Shea's number one. Shea's number one in Oklahoma. But in my opinion, I think all around, Jalen Williams had not the better game points-wise, but I think a more efficient game than Shea did. Shea was under 50% shooting, missed a lot of easier baskets he usually makes, was not hitting from three-point range at all in that game. But all in all, back and forth, 30 lead changes. A lot of fun to watch a game that changes lead 30 times. We saw a report today saying the NBA's viewers and audience was up 20% from this point at last year for that game. And like I said, we get to see it nationally televised again on TNT 6 days from now. So stay tuned. Watch that one, because we saw one heck of a game this past Wednesday on ESPN. Now flip it to the Cavaliers. Last season, when Donovan Mitchell was ineffective against big teams, when he did score much, the Cavaliers would usually get beat by double digits. It was bad. This past game, Donovan Mitchell was 3 of 16, 11 points. Not saying he did affect the game in other ways, but his normal score and even close to his even average, he was 12 points under his average. Shout out to Lou Dort, who did a really good job defending, sticking with Mitchell on all the hezzies, the snatchbacks, all of that. He step backs. He did a great job of sticking with him. And Mitchell, even shots he should have made, he had an off night. Well, from that point, you had guys like Jared Allen, Evan Mobley picking up the slack. Darius Garland added 18 and hit that clutch floater. Ty Jerome, Max Strus were great off the bench for Cleveland. You just look at the team effort from there. Mitchell wasn't the guy in that game, but they won as a team in that game. And that's really hard to beat in the league. And the fact is, both Oklahoma and Cleveland, no matter what you feel about each team has the ability to win as a team. And that's hard to do in the league. Both have really good benches, have good starting lineups. They know their rotation. They know who's coming in. They know when they're coming in. And that you have to respect that. And you have to look at both of them and say they are both most definitely title contenders currently in the NBA. Very hard to get past the Dallas Mavericks in the West, as they made the finals for Oklahoma. And on the East side, it's hard to get past the Boston Celtics. So looking at it, I would say, in my opinion, the two top teams in the East is the Cavs and the Celtics. But for the Cavs and or the Knicks, say, or the Magic to get out of the East, you have to beat Boston. And if you're looking at the West, a healthy Dallas Mavericks is the team you have to beat in the West from last season. But at that point, if Denver makes a trade or two and gets maybe a star and a bench, then you have to beat the wing and MVP, Nikola Jokic. So there's still the Denver, the Mavericks for the Thunder to have to get by. There's also, in the East, there's a Knicks that's playing really good offense especially. There's a Magic that's playing really good defense and have been winning without their two guys. And so there's tough teams. You don't want to call it that it's these teams or that's it in either side. But in my opinion, front runners on each side for the West is Dallas and Oklahoma. For the East is Cleveland and Boston. And that's just my opinion. Everyone has a right to their own, and you can debate it all day you want. But just from what I'm seeing early on in the season, I think it's those teams right there. But don't count out Nuggets if they make the right moves. Don't count out a Knicks because they are playing really good basketball, especially on the offensive end. Don't count out a Magic team because their defense has been excellent and they're finding ways to win without their stars. So fun league to watch, as I keep saying, and keep watching. As for the West, there's more teams that could make a statement. Maybe Memphis, maybe Houston. Unsure of where they go because of lack of playoff experience, and neither team getting by the first round, or play in for some. But there's still strong competitors, strong teams. You also have to watch out for the Lakers around playoff time if they can add maybe a couple more shooters, because you know that number 23 is still over there. And then let's just talk about a couple games from last night. We had the Cavs beat the Raptors 132-126. I thought emotional game on Wednesday, got the win, really all this exciting. I thought that was a trap game. I thought for sure Toronto came in with fire. They shot one of the best games they've shot all year. And they wanted to beat that Cavs team. A lot of attention on that Cavs team now, winning 12 straight, beating the top in the West. And you want to be the team that beats them. So I thought they came in with fire. I thought Toronto played an excellent game. I thought it was really bad defense from Cleveland. But Cleveland also figured out a way to win a trap game where emotions were high the night prior and still close it out and win in the end and extend their streak to 12 games. So big win for the Cavs. And Toronto, if you're a Toronto fan, if you play for Toronto, there's a lot to look forward to. There's a lot there on that team. Lot in the future. You just have to build the right pieces around it and maybe make that extra draft pick that can net your star, your future superstar. Right now you have a really good base around it, but you don't have that next level superstar player. But maybe if you mess around and get the number one draft pick and you find Cooper Flag, maybe he's that superstar. So again, a lot to, I think, build on in Toronto. Another game I want to talk about. Golden State had an 18-point lead over the Detroit Pistons with 5 minutes left in the game. They ended up nearly losing that lead, and Detroit had a shot to send it overtime and missed for 3. There's a lot going on in Golden State, and it's not good. Steph Curry's gone two straight games without an assist, which means he doesn't even trust in his teammates at this point. There's not enough to start in there around that he can default to. He feels like he has to do everything, is what it looks like, for them to have a shot to win. He said he's trying one. He had 8 of 8 against the Sixers. He said he celebrated after his first 3 because he wanted to build excitement for the team because he feels like they're lacking that excitement. They're lacking being excited for each other. That's not a good thing for a basketball team. And I think they do need to make a trade. I don't necessarily know if the rumored Jimmy Butler addition is enough, especially if you have to give up Kuminga and Wiggins. I would do that. I don't necessarily think that is enough. I do think you need another star. I just don't know who it is or where it will come from. Maybe you could get for a little cheap, or you could look to New Orleans and see if maybe you could get Brandon Ingram. Without having to give up Kuminga and Wiggins, maybe just one. And maybe some draft picks, and see what you could do there, and see if you could turn it around. We know when Ingram's healthy, he's a 20-some point scorer. That would help a lot with their offense. I'm just saying something needs change at Golden State. It's just not good. They're a mid-basketball team at best. The Minnesota Timberwolves have been up and down this year. They've struggled. Their defense, I've spoke on, is not what it was last year. Their offense is still not good. In my opinion, if Anthony Edwards is scoring, Julius Randle's not scoring because Julius Randle needs the ball in his hands. If Julius Randle's scoring, Anthony Edwards ain't scoring because he needs the ball in his hands. I think their two stars just don't connect because neither guy is really good off the ball. Both guys are better on scoring on ISOs, and if one's ISOing, the other guy's not ISOing. If one's ISOing, the team's not scoring. I think they need better ball movement, and I think they need a star player besides Anthony Edwards that's not Randle that can fit in a system, not that has to ISO and have the ball himself. They need someone that can come off the ball and it can score in the flow of an offense. Neither Randle nor Anthony Edwards are really good at scoring in the flow of the offense. And you also need someone that gets teammates more involved. Michael Conley has not had a great season this year. Usually he's more effective in that area, but he's been in the league since 2007. And maybe they need a new point guard. Or, again, just that star that can score in the flow, can make for others, and can just come off the ball when Anthony Edwards is cooking and he's drawing double teams. Someone like that, in my opinion, and they could be better, but still at the point, I'm not really sure how the offense is going to look because, like I said, it's a lot of one-on-one basketball, and that's not working in the league currently. They did pick up a win in Orlando last night, which is a nice win because, as I said, Orlando's been winning without their stars, but they will have to do that for much longer as Paolo Banchero is set to return tonight. We saw Kawhi return, and then we saw him leave the team to be with his family during the wildfires in LA. And I want to send thoughts and prayers to everyone affected by those fires. I want to say we're thinking of you, and I hope that everything works out. It's not working out in the fact of you're losing a lot, but at least you still have life. So that's great, and you have a shot to rebuild, and I'm praying for a good rebuild for everyone that did lose houses or homes or anything in these fires. Again, my thoughts and prayers are with them. But because of that, Kawhi is away from the team. Because of that, the Lakers and Hornets game got postponed. And J.J. Redick's house, his winter house in L.A., was one of the houses that got burned down again. Thoughts and prayers with anyone affected by this. If you're watching this, just know I'm thinking of you and I'm praying for you in the moment. And I hope everything works out and turns out and you get better than you had before. That's a way to look at it. It's a shot to rebuild. And I know it's not what anyone wants, but it's, again, at least if you have your life, and that's a good thing of it. So that's a positive of it. But yeah, with that said, we're seeing a lot of injuries, which has been talked about, especially for like Waitons. We talk about that for Waitons and games not getting as good of Waitons as it was. But like I spoke on, this Cavs Thunder game got really good Waitons. Besides Chet Holmgren, Cavs missing guys here and there throughout the season. Still, both teams are relatively healthy. and both teams are playing really good as a team. So maybe when you put better teams and you get the better basketball, you can build more ratings and more of a fan base, and a lot of fans were introduced to these good young small market teams that are playing excellent basketball. So that's great for the league. And hopefully we continue to move forward for the NBA. And again, very competitive season, exciting season to watch so far. Stick with it. Stay tuned Monday. I have it figured out now. We'll get episodes going, and even on the busy days, there will be episodes dropped. So look out for that. And again, thank you for watching, everyone, and I appreciate every single one of you guys. Bigger, cooler things are coming on this podcast, so just stay tuned. You've stuck with me for 90. We want to do 90 more at least, and go from beyond that and build this to something interesting. I want to do the in-depth basketball breakdowns. That's why I started this, and I have fun talking to you guys every time I record, and I'm going to keep it going for 90 more and beyond. So let's just stay strong and keep it going.